Secretary Powell was beloved here at the State Department at C Street and at our embassies and consulates around the world. He came to the State Department after a long and extraordinary career in the U.S. Armed Forces. He was General Powell, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, when he walked into the Oval Office to be sworn in as our nation's top diplomat. After that, he was Mr. Secretary. He gave the State Department the very best of his leadership, his experience, his patriotism. He gave us his decency, and the State Department loved him for it.
Welcome back to BNC Live. That was Secretary of State Antony Blinken remembering former Secretary of State Colin Powell, who died today at the age of 84. In a statement released by his family, they say he died due to COVID complications. They say he was fully vaccinated. The family also thanked the staff at Walter Reed National Medical Center for caring treatment, going on to say, quote, "We have lost a remarkable and loving husband, father, grandfather, and a great American." To help us understand how someone like Colin Powell, who was fully vaccinated, could succumb to COVID, I'm joined by our chief medical editor, Dr. Corey Abear. Dr. Abear, always a pleasure. So Powell also reportedly had been treated for a type of blood cancer I'm very familiar with, multiple myeloma. That's a blood cancer, a bone cancer. That can be extremely
Correct.
painful. My grandfather actually died from that. What does this mean for someone whose body is trying to fight an infection like COVID while also battling cancer as well?
What I would like to say before we even get started is that my just condolences go to the Powell family. I've met Colin Powell multiple times, and I like to call him graceful and stately and a man of intention. He was a very great man, and we are all upset because of his loss, of our loss rather. But what I will say is that he did have multiple myeloma, and multiple myeloma is a very serious cancer, and people generally don't make it out of it. And so when you are getting that type of treatment for multiple myeloma, then your immune system is not an immune system that is one that is able to fight off disease. I mean, it's just as simple as that. You can have all the vaccination in the world. And what I'm really concerned about is how this is going to start ignite this movement that's already so fraught with just division in our country, because people that have not gotten vaccinated, they all know Colin Powell, and they're going to say, well, why should I get vaccinated now? I mean, he died and he was vaccinated. But we have to look at this scientifically, and that's the problem with America right now. We have a bunch of side hustle scientists that think that they understand what multiple myeloma is. They think they understand what chemotherapy is to fight that. So then they say, well, they're not going to get the vaccine because if he died, then why should I get it? And that's just not the way things should be. At this point, Colin Powell fought the good fight, but he had multiple myeloma and he did not have an intact immune system.
Yeah, and it's an aggressive cancer. Well, let's keep talking about the science, because for anyone who will say exactly what you just said, hey, if he died from it and he was fully vaccinated, I'm fine not being vaccinated at all. But talk about how someone who's going through cancer, I mean, their body is completely different from a healthy person who just chooses not to get vaccinated.
Correct. So let's just take the chemotherapeutic agents that we use, just take them in general. Basically what happens is when you get cancer, then basically what they have to do is kill all the cells in your body that are trying to replicate. And then they try to do that selectively with the cancer cells, but sometimes they can't do that. So sometimes they kill cells that make hair. Sometimes they kill cells that cause you to have difficulty with urination because of kidney cells. They have difficulty with the processing of toxins because it's liver. So, but all these cells that are in the body, they're all being killed, trying to kill the aggressive cancer. And remember, this is a blood bone cancer, okay? So that means that it's in the blood, it's in the bone, and multiple myeloma is one of those diseases that it's systemic. It's not just a one solid tumor. So what happens is that he or anyone that gets that disease is going to have chemotherapy and possibly radiation that's going to destroy their immune system, trying to make it so that these cells are going to die, and then they will replenish themselves if the cancer is gone. And that's why you lose your hair when you have cancer. We don't want you to lose your hair. We just have to kill all of these these cells, and then your hair cells are part of that sometimes. And we have a lot of advances with cancer at this point. But at the same time, when you're 84 years old and you have multiple myeloma, if you get COVID, it's going to be a really rough road to hoe.
Yeah, my grandfather was 90 and it was already a battle. It was right before COVID hit, so I can't even imagine. So we're in an era right now where it's my body, it's my face. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to get vaccinated. What does Colin Powell's case say about the importance of everyone masking up and also vaccinating?
Well, one of our biggest things was that we were concerned that the people that are getting exposed to COVID-19 weren't able to get vaccinated. Remember that they had a whole issue with the people that are immune compromised. That's why one of the bigger issues when we were talking about you getting vaccinated, you're not just doing that for yourself, you're doing it for the community, because some people can't get vaccinated and they are at risk, as well as the people that have immune problems. You need to wear your mask, because if they are at a situation where they cannot have an appropriate immune system, then you not being vaccinated, you talking to them without your mask on, then that puts them at risk. And who knows what happened to Colin Powell and how he got exposed. But the reality is that we get vaccinated and we wear masks so that people like Colin Powell and people like your father or grandfather, people like your friends, my friends, don't get exposed when they do actually have an immune compromised situation. And sometimes, just always remember this, everybody's immunity goes down probably once or twice a month because of the way that our bodies work. So you may have more of a decreased immune system than you think at a certain time of the month, and that could be a problem for you. And so it's not just people with cancer. We all have different immune systems, and they're all up and down all the time, and that's why we wear masks, to protect other people as well.
Great point, Dr. Abear. Thank you. Always a pleasure.